Hi students. Today we are going to see next topic that is next type of photo MCU cells, which is nothing but PMT, that is photo multiplier tube. The last class we discussed what is photo tube, right? That is, here we are going to see the continuation of that. That is the next type of photo MCU cell is a photo multiplier tube, which is also stands for PMT. So as we know that whether it is a photo tube or photo multiplier tube, whatever it is, we need one thing to convert the light to convert the light into electron, means that is photosensitive material, right? So here also we have same as like a photo tube we discussed the way it contains a cathode and a anode. Okay, so the photo multiplier tube is again it's a type of photo emissive device in which the photons which is observed it get converted into electrons. Okay, so as like photo tubes, it has the same working principle. The thing which is get differ from the photo tube is that it is mainly useful for the light detection of weaker signals. That is, it can easily detect very weak signal also. But in case of phototube, the weak like signal will not be detected by the phototube. That is the main drop over there. And also the resultant electrical signals which you get from phototube also very weak. Okay. So here in the photo multiplier tube, which enables it enable us to detect weaker signals, and also the outcome of the electrical signal also will be very strong. Okay, that is the most advantage, or the is the first and foremost advantage of photo multiplier tube over photo tube. Other than that, everything is same as like a photo tube. You will here also you will be having a anode and cathode, and cathode will also having a coating of photosensitive material, because the photosensitive material is a very important to convert what lights into electrons. Okay, and so in addition to this cathode and anode, if you see in the construction of photomultiplier tube, you have one more thing that is called diode. Okay, so diode is nothing but this is always act as a like one type of electrode. Here you will be having a n number of diodes which is going to be placed between cathode and anode. Okay, so the major role of this diode is which involves in multiplication of electron emissions. Okay, here the electron emission will be get multiplied, so that only this tube is called photomultiplier tube. So main the multiplication process is happening because of having diode, which is having n number of diodes which is going to be placed between cathode and the anode. Okay, so see this point, third point, the PM tube consists of what? Light sensitive photocathode at one end and anode at the other end. In between, you have a series of metallic electrode called diodes in the middle. Okay, the whole setup, again this whole setup, that is cathode, anode and diode, which are always enclosed in a vacuum glass tube. It means that it doesn't have any glass inside the tube. Okay, it is a vacuum environment, that is a evacuated tube. Okay, so it is always enclosed in vacuum glass tube, because here we are involving with what electrons, photons, right? So when you have any gas atoms or which is going to be present inside, it always disturbs the whole process. So that's why it is very important to create the vacuum inside the tube, so that the whole process will go smoothly without any disturbance. Okay, so if you take photocathode, already we know this material is made up of photosensitive material. That material, chosen material, usually it will be like either cesium or antimony. Okay, so because these particular materials will release the more electrons by absorbing the light photons. Okay, so either cesium and antimony, these are the type of material which is being used for making photocathode. And one more point is very important, that is apply voltage. Okay, since whether photo tube or photo multiplier tube, we need what external power supply for their operation, right? So because it is a passive transducer, so here also we need to apply the voltage, that is very high voltage, that is 17 volt. This is applied between photocathode and anode. But thing is, here we are not apply the voltage straightly as a 100 voltage. Here we have this some steps of increment. So we will start right from 50 to 150 volt between the diodes. Okay, you have a series of diodes, the diodes between anode and the cathode, right? So in between each diodes, we have the increment of voltage in terms of some steps like 50 to 150 volt. So if you add all together of voltage means it gives a 1000 voltage. But here we are not giving 1000 voltage as a whole. Here we are giving in stepwise, that is in terms of 50 or 150 voltage. That is especially between the diodes. Okay, so see, this is the overall setup for a photo multiplier tube. Okay, so as I told before, you have what photo cathode, and over that you will be having the windows. Okay, so this window, through this window only all the incoming photons or incidence light will get entered inside the photo multiplier tube. Okay, so this is very important to make this window as a transparent material. Okay, so because the transparent material only will allow the light to pass through inside the tube. If you are making any other material which is have the property of opaque, means it will not allow the light to get inside, whereas it will reflect or refract the light, so that it will prevent the light from reaching the tube. So the window should be always made up of what? Transparent material. So one side you have a photocathode that is being coated with photosensitive material, and another end you have the anode. So this is the place where all the electrons which is being converted inside the phototube is being collected here. Okay, so and then additional to that you have a focus electrode. What is mean a focus electrode? Why it is needed in the sense, this focusing electrode will ensure the all incident lights which falls on the diodes, the nearest diode. Okay, so it will ensure and send all the incoming photons to reach the diode. From this, it's preventing the escaping of photons. So this is the main role of focusing diode here. So then you have what diodes. Diodes, that is a series of diodes you have that is being placed between what cathode and the anode. Okay, so this is the cathode, this is the anode. In between you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 diodes. Okay, so these diodes, what is the main function? It is the main role is to increase the number of production of electrons. Okay, that is here actual multiplication process is taking place. Okay, and one more thing is very needed. What is that? The power supply. Okay, so power supply is very much needed for the PM tube to get operated, because it is a one type of passive transducer. So yeah, in the presence of power supply only, all the anode and cathode will get energized and start their function. Okay, and the voltage is here we have to give in stepwise, right? So that only we have voltage drop resistors. So each resistor have a different values. So based on the value, the voltage is being dropped at every step. So okay, first if you are giving 50 or 150 or 200, so like that, based on the resistor value, the voltage will drop between each diode. So you have first and second diode, you have one resistor, third and fourth diode you have second resistor. So similarly, so how many resistor diodes you have, based on that you will be having the stepping voltage. Okay, so at last you will have what? Output meter. From by means you will what measure what is the voltage which is produced from the PM tube. Here the voltage signal when you compare to photo tube, it is much more stronger, right? Because here you have multiplication process. So even if you have millivolt also, at last if you are at the end product, you will get a stronger good enough signal, that is in range of volt or something. Okay, so that is the main advantage of photo multiplier tube over photo tube. It means the first advantage is it can even detect weak light signal, and also it will tends to produce stronger output signal. Okay, these two important advantage makes the photo multiplier tube to be used widely. Okay, so this is the overall setup. If you see the working, okay, so working is also same or similar to photo tube. We have photocathode and anode. Whenever the electrons falls on the photocathode, it will start to emit the photons. Okay, then what is the role of diode? So whenever the electrons, that is the primary, here you have the two types of electrons. First, primary electrons, second one is secondary electrons. Okay, you have two types of electrons here. What is the primary electrons in the sense? The first electrons which strike on the diode. So the electrons which is emitted from the photocathode is nothing but the primary electrons. Okay, the electron which is emitted from photocathode, it is a primary electron. These primary electron, when it strike on a series of diodes, it will tends to produce so many secondary electrons. Okay, so for example, you will be having the production of uh, 2 to what 2 to Yes, 1 or 2 photoelectrons for every 7 to 10 light electrons. Okay, that is light photons. Sorry, not electrons. Here, light photons. For every 7 to 10 light electrons, you will be having the production of 1 or 2 photoelectrons. This is the concept. This is the ratio through which, based on this only, you will be having the production of electrons. So, for the first case, the primary electrons consist of 1 or 2. For example, if we have 2 electrons, which is the primary electrons, we have resultant from which has been resultant from photocathode. These 2 primary electrons, now it will reach the nearest diode, where it will get converted and produce 2 more electrons. That is 2 or 4 extra electrons will be produced. Okay, these electrons are called secondary electrons. Okay, now you have 2 electrons. So when these 2 electrons when reach the diode, okay, 1 electrons will produce 2 more electrons, another electron will also produce another 2 more electrons. So at the end of first diode, now you will have 4 electrons. These 4 electrons, out of this, each electrons will again reach the second diodes, where again you have a multiplication. These 4 electrons, now it get multiplied into 8 electrons. Okay, again these 8 secondary electrons will meet third diodes. Okay, third iodes, again it will get multiplied. So 8 into 8, or 8 into 2, 16 electrons will get produced. So it will continue to strike successive diodes, and more electrons will get emitted successively. Okay, so this is the main concept of using diodes here. Okay, so at every diode there will be having some multiplication factors. Based on that, you will have the multiplication of photons. Okay, so this process of multiplication will continue until it reach the last diode. Okay, so if first it will start with primary electrons, that is the electron which is directly produced from photocathode. These primary electrons, when it strike on series of diodes, each electron will tend to produce 2 or more electrons. Okay, so this whole process will continue until it reaches the last electrons. So finally, at the end, you have the anodes. So these anodes will collect all the electrons all together. So if you have, if you say for example, you will be having at last 10 power 5 or 10 power 8 electrons will be produced in a single PM tube. Okay, these are all electrons, 10 power 5 or 10 power 8 electrons will be further captured or collected by the anode. There it generates the anode current. Then by means of what Ohm's law, by using some fixed resistor, we will calculate what is the voltage drop for that anode current. From that voltage drop, we will come to know what is the output signal, that is in terms of voltage. Okay, so now this voltage signal is directly proportional to the incident photons. Okay, so now the thing is, the incident photons has been multiplied to it has been amplified to the some extent, and then we are getting converted into electrical signal. That is the main principle of PM tube. So PM tube is not only converting the light energy into the electrical energy, but also it is amplifying the light energy, and then it's getting converted into electrical energy. Okay, so that you are getting strengthened signal. That is a stronger signal when compared to photo tube. Okay, so this is the main working principle of PM tube, and it's having some application, and also have some advantages when compared to photo tube. Okay, that's all guys about PM tube. Thank you.